Russian media reported in recent weeks two new developments concerning the PAK-FA, or the Future Aviation System of Frontal Aviation. In addition to the news of the 6th T-50 prototype taken to the air and 5 additional ones being in advanced stages of construction, the Russian media reported that the T-50 would enter service with the Russian Aerospace Forces already in 2017, in other words, in little more than a year. The aircraft series production would commence the same year. It is quite a milestone for this highly ambitious aircraft program that began comparatively recently in 2001 when the Ministry of Defense issued its final list of specifications for the aircraft, though preliminary research on the prospective successors to the Su-27 and MiG-31 fighters was launched already in the 1980s. These specifications included super maneuverability comparable to, if not better than, displayed by the Su-27, super cruise, or the ability to travel at supersonic speeds without the use of afterburner, multi-role capabilities including the ability to engage air, land, and naval targets with a wide spectrum of long-range guided munitions, advanced electronic suite in the form of an active phase array radar with near 360-degree coverage thanks to the side and aft-looking aerials and so-called glass cockpit that allows the pilot to avoid being overwhelmed by information, and of course stealth or low observability in both active and passive sense of the word, with the T-50 being able to engage targets without the use of its own onboard radar. Contrary to much negative propaganda emanating from Sukhoi's Western competitors, the T-50 project development turned out to be smoother than many anticipated, largely thanks to the parallel evolution of the Su-27 family of aircraft, which was used to test and improve new technologies before incorporating them into the T-50. In that respect, it may well be that Sukhoi has taken over from Lockheed Martin as the world's foremost fighter aircraft design bureau, as the long list of developmental problems experienced by both the F-22 and F-35 programs suggests that its design culture was disrupted by the multiple defense mergers of the 1990s. Which means that, whereas the T-50 stands on the shoulders of the Su-27 family, the F-35 is being designed as if it were the first product of a newly constituted design bureau. The planned 2017 service entry date will only be another milestone in the life of the T-50 program, with many to follow. The initial frontline squadron aircraft will most likely be narrowly capable air combat machines, just as the initial Su-27 fighters were. It will simply be the spear tip of a new era of Russian military aviation. However, just as the Su-27 spawned the Su-30, 33, 34 and 35, which now collectively comprise the backbone of the Russian Aerospace Forces, the T-50 will similarly acquire new capabilities and serve as the springboard for spin-off models, so that in a few decades' time the T-50 will be the backbone of the Aerospace Forces, likely supplemented by smaller MiG fighters, combat drones, and possibly even the 6th generation fighter. The only unknown aspect of the program is its service designation, for the T-50 will surely acquire a SU designation upon being accepted into service. Fully implementing the T-50's capabilities will also require the development of a new range of munitions capable of taking advantage of the design's internal weapons bays. Even though the T-50 can carry older ordnance under wing, it is also evident that a range of weapons is under development. An example of such munitions is the KH-59 Mk2, a derivative of the KH-59 missile family that was demonstrated at the MAX 2015. This new modification, which combines stealth, 300 km range, 300 kg warhead, and a variety of guidance systems enabling it to engage both stationary and mobile land and sea targets, is indicative of the nature of the T-50's future arsenal. While no single weapon system is in and of itself decisive, the T-50's imminent service entry undermines one of the crucial NATO assumptions, namely that of air superiority. Even the initial small fleet of T-50s backed up by the Su-35 and Su-30 fighters would be enough to deprive NATO's land forces of the ability to operate without worrying about attack from the air. Given how unused and unprepared NATO is to operate in the face of opposing air power, the T-50 is an important component of Russia's conventional deterrence posture. March the 4th saw the 55th anniversary of the first successful anti-ballistic missile intercept performed by a Soviet defensive system, the Systema A, which used the V-1000 anti-missile equipped with a conventional blast fragmentation warhead to destroy the warhead launched by an R-12 intermediate-range ballistic missile. This initial experiment led to the ultimate development and deployment of the A-135 Amur ABM system around Moscow, as permitted by the 1972 ABM Treaty. The system employed 32 51T6 Azov long-range anti-missile interceptors, which are currently no longer in service, and 68 short-range 53T6 short-range anti-missile interceptors. In accordance with the ABM Treaty, which permitted a single ABM site with no more than 100 missiles, the A-135 was deployed to protect Moscow against nuclear attack. None of these missiles were ever used in combat, and hopefully they never will have to be, for even the short-range 53T6, which can intercept incoming warheads out to 60 kilometers and up to 45 kilometers in altitude, carries a 10-kiloton nuclear warhead. Now that the ABM Treaty is no longer in force, since the United States abrogated it in 1972 and US and NATO anti-ballistic missile systems are creeping closer to Russia's borders both in Europe and Asia, ostensibly to deal with mostly imaginary Iranian and North Korean threat, this naturally raises the question of whether the US efforts to endanger the viability of Russia's nuclear arsenal will result in a symmetrical response, in addition to improving the offensive system's ability to overcome defenses. Russian defense industry has not been sitting still in the face of NATO ABM expansion. Long-range air defense systems like the S-300, S-400 and the upcoming S-500 have considerable ability to destroy ballistic threats, though none of them have been tested against the extremely fast ICBM re-entry vehicles, which are far harder to defeat than short and intermediate-range ballistic missiles. It is, however, possible that they could be effective in the so-called boost phase intercept against missiles which have just left their launches, which is far easier to perform than intercepting a small and fast warhead. Moreover, Russia is working on the successor to the A-135, the A-235, which will likewise use multiple types of missiles to provide an ability to destroy incoming warheads at long ranges and at extremely high altitudes bordering on orbital. However, the A-235, whose deployment has been highly classified to the point of very little information being available through open sources, will have a couple of major differences from the A-135. The first is that it will use conventional high explosive and kinetic energy warheads rather than nuclear ones. That fact will greatly decrease the system's cost and complexity, and also the associated infrastructure needs, which will no longer have to ensure proper security for its nuclear munitions. The second and related difference is that the A-235 will be mobile. A number of published A-235 concept drawings show a mobile transport and launch vehicle similar to what is used by the S-400. It means that the A-235 will have a level of flexibility that the fixed site and silo-based A-135 does not. The mobility of the A-235 means that it can not only be deployed at any location within Russia's territory, but also outside of its borders, including on the territory of friendly countries. The current geopolitics suggests such locations could include not only the islands and archipelagos of the Arctic, where an ABM system could easily shoot down NATO submarine-launched missiles in their boost phase, but friendly countries such as Syria, Egypt, Iran, possibly Vietnam, and others, with the ultimate prize being, of course, Cuba, where a Russian ABM system can easily negate any advantage from stationing comparable US systems in Poland and Romania. Whether or not such deployments ever take place largely depends on the future course of Russia-NATO relations. The only reason the ABM Treaty was ever signed and ratified was USSR's demonstrated ability to deploy effective ABM systems. The US withdrawal from that treaty was driven by its leaders' arrogant assumption that the US could launch a new nuclear arms race with no country able to counter it. Once Russia demonstrates its ability to field the next generation of strategic anti-ballistic systems, we may see the world's great powers once again return to the negotiating table.